One thing you always want to have before you travel to an astrophotography line somewhere in the world is an intention. If you don't know what you want, it's really hard to use astrocartography to its full capacity and full advantage. This is why knowledge is power, why having self-awareness and clarity about what you want, what you desire, what you're going after, this really helps in getting momentum so you can make huge leaps and strides toward achieving what you want in your life. Right now, I am here in my old town that I used to live in the south of France, in Guétary, really close to the Biarritz and Saint-Jean-de-Luz. Shout out to anyone who's been there. Comment below if you've ever visited this area in France. It's absolutely magical. I love coming back here every year. And I am here to get more of my Sun-Saturn pairing, my Mercury line, and a Jupiter trine that I have here. And a new aspect that I really love that's here in this area on the relocation chart and astrocartography map. Let's get started. I love being in quiet, small towns like this, especially in Europe in January, right after the new year. No one's here except for the locals. A lot of places are closed. The streets are empty and quiet. The Airbnbs are like 1/4 of the price that they are normally. Like, you can just get the best deals. My train was like 40 euros to get here. It's so amazing to travel in Europe in January, February. It's one of my favorite times of the year to travel in Europe. The only downside is like everything closes. And so you're kind of only stuck with like 1 or 2 options of places to eat, which I'm fine with. Being in Paris, everything's open. So I have a lot more options. So it's definitely very different and kind of like shocking at first when I get here, but I get used to it after like a day or two. So, but just walking these streets and having this spaciousness to really focus on getting my work done. You know, I spent several hours this morning reading Bill Meridian's book on geopolitical mundane astrology with maps. I started writing some of my book proposal for my book that I'm working on. I did some goal planning for this week in my journal. I wrote down some ideas of things I want to work on. So it's like I'm loving the Mercury energy here of mental concentration, cerebral kind of focus rather than the Saturnian energy that I have where I live. Saturn on my ascendant, very different from a Mercury line, you know. Mercury is just so quick, agile, fast. It's also, for me, my Mercury's in Gemini. Now, it is making a square to Saturn, but it's a loose square. It's not super tight, but there is that element that does come in of, you know, perfectionist, overly thinking things, doubting one's voice or doubting one's abilities to speak efficiently, right? So that's part of who I am in my natal promise. But when I go to Mercury lines, I accentuate that. I emphasize that a little bit more than if I weren't on a Mercury line. So that's why it's so important to look at your natal chart and your unique chart, because your Mercury line might not be like someone else's Mercury line, right? My Mercury's in Gemini squaring Saturn, right? There's a lot more there than just a Mercury line. And so that's why I always recommend looking into your chart, because that will give you a lot more stories. And you can learn more about this in my relocation astrology course. I go more in depth on this, and I talk about charts and parents and all the things. And that course is open all year round, so you can join in at any time. I'll include the link down below if you're interested. Amazing course, tons of examples, live class call replays, community on Facebook. It's amazing. Check it out. But yeah, it's really nice to be here to really focus and get some work done. I'm waking up early with the sun. I'm going to sleep early. Just different environment. Sometimes just a change of scenery and a change in environment can inspire you to try some new things, new habits, new rituals, new work projects, and I'm really loving it. Let's keep walking. Used to live right up there in that little corner at the top. Our entire apartment was so slanted. I used to look up at this tree all the time when I was working and look out at the beach. Crazy. And that's our front door. Now we go upstairs, all the way up there. Walking around, I can't help but think how much has changed in 2 years. So much has changed in my own life, like my confidence, my belief in my abilities, my self-assuredness, my fearlessness. I just like walking around here, it's like I'm taken back to who I was when I was living here 2 years ago, and it feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like so long ago, but it wasn't. It was just 2 years ago. I feel like I was a different person back then. I just love who I am now in so many more ways. When I used to live here, I was doing astrocartography readings full time, starting to get burnt out by it because I was doing so many readings, so many, like 3 readings a day, 6 times a week, basically. Learning, so much learning. I made my first course. I made my first astrocartography course. I didn't have the financial, the money mindset that I have now. I was working on it then. I was building it then. But I was afraid of money. I had lack mentality in terms of money. I wasn't in a true embodied leadership stage or energy like I am now. And when I look back at just 2 years ago, I feel like I was a girl. And that was the beginning of my Saturn return. And now I'm near the end of my Saturn return and I feel like a woman. I know it seems kind of cliche, but I feel like an adult now. I just feel so much wiser, more mature, just an anchored, embodied leader. So confident, so sure of myself. I have just amazing abundance in my life. I'm business savvy, just everything's changed for me. Also, I just want to say I am really glad that I came to Gettery now to visit because all of these restaurants are about to close for 3 months. These restaurants and cafes that are here, they're open for a few weeks after the new year, and then everything closes. This restaurant right here that's open, it's about to be closed until April for the holiday because it's not in season now. So the downside about traveling in the off season here in Europe is that if you go to a small town like Gettery, everything closes, but still cute. Gettery, what can I say? It felt different coming back. I lived there for a year, and this is what I mean when I say that sometimes timing is really important when it comes to place. Sometimes you're not meant to live somewhere forever. Sometimes you're not meant to come back to a place after you've moved away. And for me, coming back to Gettery, I wanted to kind of experience the same energy that I had when I was living there. But what I ended up getting was a lot of reflection and a lot of closure. Going to a sleepy, quiet surf town like Gettery in the middle of January when nothing's happening and everything's about to close down for 2 months, probably could have gone at a different time when it was warmer, not so cold, and also just things were more open. So when I say that timing matters, Mars was transiting through my 9th house. Mars was retrograde. And there were many times on that trip to Gettery when I felt like, what am I doing? Why am I here? And I've realized after thinking a lot about this trip was, one, it was a great place to launch my course. It was a great place to get the message out there, to go on live streams, all that. But I needed closure. I needed that closure, and sometimes we all need that closure when it comes to moving away from somewhere in the world that we love. We all need that closure when it comes to saying goodbye to a part of our lives, a part of our identities that we don't connect with anymore. When I was living in Gettery, I was in kind of my slow living era. I was finishing that up on YouTube, my videos about slow living, and my book was published on slow living, which I'll include a link down below if you'd like to get my book. It's an amazing hardcover coffee table book, beautifully written. I loved using that Mercury energy, getting a little bit of that Sun-Saturn pairing, getting that Jupiter trining my ascendant. It's a happy place for me. But do I need to go back to a happy place that I feel good in because the astrology's good? No, I don't want to live in a small beach town anymore. I don't want to live in a surf town anymore. I don't want to live in a small town where everything closes for 3 months and there's no one living there anymore because everyone's gone somewhere else. Sometimes you're meant to be in a place for a season of time. It doesn't mean you need to be there forever. And you'll find that when you go back to that place, the energy will change, the vibe will shift, the vibe will change because your timing is shifting. Where you live matters, location matters. And I'm here to help support you create a magical life in places you love. If you wanted to get my new free creation, I've created a new thing for you, a 3-part audio series, Mapping Mysteries Revealed. You can get it sent straight to you, a private podcast that I don't have anywhere else, only to those of you guys that sign up.
about the common misconceptions and questions that people often ask me. Specifically the questions regarding aspects. Disharmonious aspects or harmonious aspects? What do I do? What do I do with these? Families and couples. What do you do if you have a large family or a relationship or a couple? What do you do in that situation with your astrocartography? Got that answered for you? And also the common question of relocation charts versus natal charts. I'm going to break it down for you very simply, very easily, so that you get a firmer grasp on the power of place and what location means and matters and how it matters and how location really impacts you. If you want to get all of this information, all the education in my private podcast, Mapping Mysteries Revealed, sign up via the link down below in the description and I'll send it to you. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this vlog on my time in Guétary, the beautiful Basque region of France. Beautiful region. If you ever wanted to go to a very beautiful, pristine, clean part of France where it feels like the San Diego of France, go to Biarritz. Go to Guétary. Really, really beautiful area. The Basque region is so underrated, and I wish more people knew about it. I have a ton of videos all about that on my personal channel, Helena Woods. You can find all those videos where I recorded videos for years about my time living in all the regions of France. Happy to share it with you. All right, all that said, I hope you have a magical day, and happy astro travels. I'll see you in the next one.